creative brain of the feminine controls the left side of the being. So the first thing I do is spin to the left, and I imagine red. Now, I have my hands out in front of me where my palms are facing me, and I know you can't picture this, but I have my palms facing me as if I'm holding a big beach ball in front of me. And I have my fingers together and my thumbs together so that my palms are facing me and they're bent up. My elbows are bent up and my palms are bent up in a curl as if I'm holding a beach ball. And when I spin to the left, I focus my eyes on my left hand to avoid becoming dizzy and losing my balance. As I spin to my left, I imagine light going around me in red as I'm going to my left. But understand how atoms and molecules work. As you are going to your left and spinning energy to the left, there are opposite forces spinning energy to the right. So as I go left, looking at red, I picture blue spinning towards the right. So I start creating the ball around me. And as I'm doing that, I draw down the light of the three planets, and I have them spin, these three lights spin in this peppermint spiral coming down because I'm spinning coming down, and I have them come from the planets all the way to the core of the planet. And I picture the pops and flashes of silver fireworks bouncing off from the silver light of the moon and the golden shell from the golden light of the sun cloaking me from the outside with this red-blue blending into purple. When I'm done spinning around to my left, and, you do it until you feel like it. Now, generally, I forgot to tell you, I usually draw down energy first, but I've gotten to the point that I don't even have to do it. I don't have to draw down energy. I don't have to spin. I can just, envision it and poof, put it there. But when you're starting out, I draw down energy first by breathing, drawing energy in from the cosmic, and that's a whole another thing. I probably need to give you that if I have time when I'm done. It's not mandatory, but I should still tell you. When I'm done spinning to the left, I stop. I clap my hands together twice, like that, and I take those hands and I bring them across the front of me, bend them to a point where my elbows cross one another and then my hands face me, and I create this egg around the top of my head with my hands and bring it down up under me with both my hands until I create this light under my feet. And then I turn, whatever way I'm pointing, I turn 180 degrees to the exact opposite where I'm facing directly behind me, and I clap twice and do it again and create this egg around me. Oh, I almost forgot. When I'm facing the other direction, when I create the egg, after I'm done bringing my hands from down under my feet and creating the egg under my feet, I bring my hands straight up in front of me, and I have my palms facing in front of my chest, pointing to the wall, palms to the wall, and then I open my arms out as far back behind me as I can make them go with my fingertips pointing up, palms pointing out. Then when I turn to the opposite direction and I do the clap again, I bring my hands down, fingers pointing down, hands, palms facing me, pointing to the floor, bring them up, elbows bent, palms facing me, and I create this shell on the outside of me, and then I point my hands to the wall, palms to the wall, and then I move my
Greetings. Can anybody hear me? Okay, we lost Yaffa for a minute. So I'm going to take a break, and when I see her come back, I'm going to punt. Okay, here she is.
Absolve me for that. At one point when I was using my Magic Jack, because the Magic Jack was great, I could talk to people all day long. But something was wrong with my headset where people were like, Yaffa, you sound like you're underwater. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. So I went out and bought a brand new phone. Now, the phone doesn't allow me to talk all day. It cuts me off after approximately an hour, hour and a half or so, and then I have to start the call, reinitiate the call. The only problem is I don't know the call is disconnected because I don't get a dial tone or anything. I usually get something that says, if you'd like to complete this call, please dial the area code and the phone number. It's like, oh, wow. But, you know, I don't know if it's – I think it's this phone unless these so-called powers that want to be are screwing around with Magic Jack like they're screwing around with PayPal. I mean, I got a thing from PayPal that basically said, oh, you know, you have to sign this new waiver, a new thing, because now the IRS is gone after PayPal. So anybody that's screwing around with PayPal now, if you have more than a certain number of transactions, and I think it's 200 in a year, or you make more than a certain amount of money, which one rep said $10, another rep said $10,000, PayPal is required to do a 1099 with the IRS and put you on their goddamn radar because, you know, hey. But anyway, what did you guys hear? Because I don't want to start somewhere where you didn't hear. What's the last thing you heard? Does anybody even remember? Well, alrighty then.
You were talking about the palm, the when you were sitting in the hand.
I was talking about the palms?
Yeah.
No, I'm not sitting when okay, thank you, sweetie. I appreciate you remembering because, I mean, I don't know what you guys heard. I'm just talking up a storm. I'm not sitting when I do this. I am standing when I do this. Now, for people that they are elderly or they are physically somewhat incapacitated, meaning they're bedridden or they're wheelchair bound or something like this, it's not necessary that you spin, but you will have to build up your power of imagination, the capacity to imagine this spinning of energy going on around you. And you'll have to be able to visualize these streams of light coming down. If you can visualize and imagine, if you are not able to physically get where I'm saying you can go, you can do it with your mind. Because remember, thoughts are things that control things and make things happen and manifest things into the physical for real. So once I have done my spin to the left, picturing red going to the left and blue going to the right, I stop wherever I am, I clap twice, I create my egg with my hands, then I point my palm, I bring my hands up in front of me and point my palms forward and move them straight out. Then I turn 180 degrees into the opposite direction, so I'm looking straight at wherever my back was pointing. And I do the clap twice, bring my hands up, create the egg, bring my hands forward, create the wall around me. Then I start spinning in the other direction, and when I spin to the right, I start focusing my eyes on my right hand, and I imagine blue light going to the right. And while I'm going to the right, the opposite molecular forces of light and energy are going to be red, spinning around to the left. So while I'm done, I have these red and blue lights spinning in both directions around me, and these silver lights of sparkles of fireworks from the moon popping off in the energy field, and the golden eggshell around me as a light of protection. And usually I use Jupiter. And, you can pick any planet you want for the third light. The primary reason that I focus on these planets is, one, like I told you, it creates a protection grid that extends so high and far out in the cosmos. Most of these low-level butt wipes can't even reach that far on an energy level or a spiritual level because they're so rooted in the root chakras or the low chakras. Also, when you're thinking, if you understand how thoughts are things, like I said a moment ago, wherever your thoughts go is where your energies flow. So if you're always thinking about being broke, that's where your energy goes, to being broke, being broke, being broke. If your thoughts are always going to Man, I got to get past these dudes on the street. I don't know how I'm going to get around these niggas on the street. That's where your energy's going to go, always trying to get around these niggas on the street. You're not going to be able to get around them because you keep pulling them to yourself because you're thinking too much about them. That's why I was telling you guys to think for 2 seconds on something that makes you feel better and uplifts your energy because it uplifts your thoughts, which will increase the rate at which you're vibrating. But when you focus on planets, they're so far out and vibrating at a higher frequency. They're spinning out there so fast, just like the planet we're standing on. Earth, I've always looked at Earth as a spaceship, okay? People talking about spaceships. We're on one. The planet Earth is spinning around in space and flying around through space. You know, she's spinning on her axis, and she's also flying around on this circular circumference of motion. So it's all in how you look at things. You know, you can either see the glass as half full or half empty. We are on a spaceship. This planet is flying through space at rates of speed that would blow your mind. So when you focus on the sun, the moon, or these other planets like Jupiter, they are vibrating at high frequency. And if you focus your thought on high frequency things, that increases your vibration because of where your thoughts are going. If your thoughts go higher, your frequency goes higher. And as your frequency goes higher, you get more protected. And what I'm telling you guys to do, as you create this energy grid around yourself that extends so far out, as each one of us does that, especially those of us in the Americas, that starts putting the grid back up around the Americas. Because there are people that still are trying to destroy the United States, but destroying the United States, which is the corporation that has a military de facto forced occupation on the melanin-rich people that are copper-colored, that call themselves African-American, whose ancestors were found here when all these foreigners showed up. Destroying the United States here is going to destroy the Americans here and everybody else is here that calls themselves Americans here. So, as an individual here or wherever you may be, as you throw your grid up from you, through you to the core of the earth and up to the sun, that starts throwing the grid back up around where you are and putting up a more appropriate light of frequency that will protect and secure, I hate the word protect, it will secure here and make here a more level and calm place. And you will start to notice less and less bullshit going on where you are because you're holding down the grid where you are. However, when you start depleting yourself, that's when things get screwy, like what's been going on in my life, for example, which, you know, I'm putting the grid back up. That's why I needed to stop doing the show every Thursday. Doing the show every Thursday was a crossing of my will. I didn't want to do it every Thursday. I made that clear the very first show I did on January the 27th. But I continued to do it every Thursday because I continued to do it every Thursday. Whatever my reasons were, it was contradictory to what I wanted to do, which means I crossed my own will, I stepped on my own toes and kicked myself, and by doing that for so many weeks on end, I opened up the door where one day I had depleted my energy to the point that other stuff started coming in and kicking on me too. And it's been about, 2 weeks since I did a show? That is enough time for me to, actually 2 days really is enough time for me to put my grid back up. But people don't understand how I was doing the show. When I was doing a show on Thursday, once the show was over, I had a chance to go and exhale. I could breathe. And Thursday night I would have to myself, but I would get on a phone call and I would talk to people Thursday night after the show. Then on Friday I would wake up, do the baby, whatever I'm doing, and do me. And by Friday evening I was back in research mode, not because I need to do the research for me, but I needed to do the research because some people are like, well, who was that and when was that and what year was that and what book was that? I had to go and try to find the proof for people that keep calling me a liar and thinking I'm making this shit up because it sounds so crazy. And I was in research mode taking notes from Friday all the way up through the time that the show started again on Thursday night. Then after the show would be over, I'd be like, I could breathe Thursday night. I'd be on the phone after the show with people. Friday I'd have a minute, but Friday night I'd be back in research mode. It'd be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all the way up to the moment of the show.